so we're good.
Okay. All right, Adam. Very cool. There's a videotape that's running right now, okay, and an audio tape also, but I'm going to use this as a backup if this thing's working okay. Okay, this is Sergeant Troy Phillips of the Illinois State Police. Today's date is April 7th, 2009. The time is approximately 2:50 a.m. Currently, I'm present at the Vermilion County Public Safety Building along with Sergeant Tim Drake of the Illinois State Police and Adam Deckard. Adam, could you state your name and spell your last name for me, please?
Name is Adam K. Deckard. Last name spelled D-E-C-K-A-R-D.
Okay, Adam, where do you reside at?
I currently reside in Pasodum, Illinois at 304 South Locust.
Okay. Adam, there's been some circumstances that have occurred tonight that basically have led us to meet here at the Vermilion County Sheriff's Office in regards to the investigation of an officer-involved shooting. And I'm not fully aware of all of the circumstances of this, but as we discussed earlier out in the hall, and you're aware that this is an investigation into the circumstances of the officer-involved shooting in which this individual was deceased at the scene. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. First of all, are you aware that the tape recorder is running and that we're recording both video and audio of this conversation here today?
Yes, I am.
Okay. And do you give us your permission to record this conversation and interview today?
Yes, I do.
Okay. First of all, as I explained to you earlier, our job as the state police is we are investigating this as a criminal event, okay, and basically we're investigating the circumstances of the officer-involved shooting. We're not concerned with policy violations of your department. That would be up to your department to do at a later point in time. Okay, do you understand that?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Adam, how long have you been a police officer?
3 years.
Okay. And you're employed where?
Villa Grove Police Department.
Okay. Where is that located at, Villa Grove?
Villa Grove is located in Illinois. It's approximately 20 miles south of Urbana on Route 130.
Okay. And how long have you been employed there?
About 3 years.
Okay. Can you tell me a little bit about your training at Villa Grove?
I went through University of Illinois Police Training Institute, 12-week basic law enforcement.
Okay.
I started that in first week of May 2006 and graduated July 2006.
Okay. And you've been working the road down there since then, is that correct? Okay.
Correct.
All right. And you also told me that you work part-time as a paramedic for Arrow in Champaign?
Yes.
And at PTI? Okay. Why don't you tell me a little bit about what happened tonight, Adam?
Okay. I'll start from the beginning. During the night, I had a couple calls of service, and I observed a vehicle parked at the mobile super pantry at the four-way stop in Villa Grove.
What's the streets on that?
Route
130?
Yeah, it'll be 130, and then on the east side is Front Street, and on the west side is Harrison Street.
Okay.
Is that business open at that time?
Yes, it's a 24-hour gas station. I've a couple times when I went by there, when I was handling different calls of service, this was around 9:30. I observed this vehicle parked on the west side parking lot of the super pantry, and I noticed from its front plate it had Texas plates on it. And didn't think too much about it at first because I was just driving by there. I was on other calls, so I really didn't think too much into it. Well, then when I got done with my calls of service, I went by there later and I observed that the vehicle had a subject sitting in it. But I didn't know, I mean, we didn't get a call about anything, so
Okay. Can you describe the vehicle to me?
It was a Toyota, looked like a four-door Toyota sedan.
What color was it?
Silver color.
Silver four-door
What
Toyota?
time was it the first time you noticed it?
The first time I noticed,
Yes.
I'd say it was around 9:30 when I was handling the other civil dispute between a boyfriend and girlfriend over their kids.
Where was that at, that call?
I was bouncing between the address of 11 North Sycamore, which Sycamore is Route 130 that goes through Villa Grove, and then I believe her address is 302 North 2nd Street, and that's on the other side of town. So I was the way, driving back and forth. Sycamore to Front Street, and 2nd Street's just right off front. So.
Okay. Were you the only officer working, or was
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
The first time you noticed it, was it, you just noticed the vehicle, you did not see anyone inside, or did
I just kind of noticed the vehicle. I didn't really pay that close attention to it at the time.
And then the second time you saw it?
And then when I was done with my call, when I went back by there, I saw someone sitting in there.
Had it moved, or was it?
No, I believe it was still in the same spot from the time I saw it.
Is that when you noticed it had Texas plates?
I noticed the Texas plates on it one of the times I drove by it when I was bouncing back and forth between its house.
Okay. When you first observed the vehicle, did you see if there was anybody in it, or?
No, I didn't really pay, when I first observed it, no, I didn't really notice anybody in it.
Okay. So you saw the vehicle was still there?
After I handled my calls of service.
And then you saw there was
And then I saw
in
there was someone in it then.
Okay, what
So-
happened next?
Well, and then I drove by it the first time. I was like, I kind of did one of these. I was like, oh, there's someone still sitting in there. So I went on down the street, just kind of did just routine patrol. Came back by, I was like, well, I'm kind of, my curiosity kind of got me going. I was like, I want to drive by and see that plate. Well, I drove by and I tried to get a good look at the plate so I could run it. And I just, again, I saw, okay, well, I know it's from Texas, but I could only see like the last three of the plate. I couldn't see the first part of it. So I was like, well, it had a front plate, so maybe I can go back around the block and maybe I'll go through the lot and maybe I'll see its front plate a lot better in the light too. Because he had his car, or there was no lights on. I mean, the car was just sitting there. I didn't know whether he was just running idle or he had it shut off completely. I went through the alley there, came back around through the alley, turned onto Jefferson, then turned onto Main Street, came back up to Harrison. When I pulled on to Harrison, he pulled out of the super pantry lot and pulled into the turn lane to go north on 130. Signaled and everything, stopped, he had a signal on, he stopped, so I was behind him, so I was going to go ahead and then run his plate. He then proceeded to turn and go north on 130. He probably stopped about right there at the bridge, and I'd say that's probably a good 20 feet north of the four-way stop there. He just stopped in the middle of the road in front of me.
He just stopped?
Just stopped. I hadn't turned my lights on or anything yet. He just stopped.
Okay.
So I just kind of waited a second, and he was just sitting there on the brake. So then that's when I finally went ahead and kicked on my overhead lights. And then I saw him, I watched his taillights and I saw him put it in park, I saw, when you go from drive to park.
So the brake lights come off?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I knew he was in park. So I was calling out my stop. While I'm calling out my stop, he starts to exit his vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
So
All your squad cars have cameras then?
Yes.
Do they activate as you activate?
They come on as soon as you turn on the lights. He was exiting his vehicle. I called out my stop, put the mic down, and got on my squad and said, "Sir, I need you to remain back by your vehicle." And he was just kind of, with his hands in the box, just kind of standing there. And it was one of those deals I didn't feel comfortable with it right off the bat.
Okay.
And I'm not sounding religious or anything, but his eyes were like bugging out, and it was almost like you could see evil coming out of his eyes.
Okay. Can you describe this gentleman to me?
It was a black male.
Okay.
Had like frizzy hair. I mean, short but frizzy hair.
Okay. And what did he do when you told him to stay up by the vehicle?
He kind of took a couple more steps, and I said, "Sir, just remain back by your vehicle." So I approached him. I was like, "Sir," and I said, "Why did you stop in front of me?" And he goes, "I thought I knew you." I said, "Okay, but why did you stop in front of me?" And this is how he did it. He goes, "I felt we had a connection."
Is this audio recorded also?
I do not have an audio recorder on me.
Okay.
But there is an in-car camera.
Okay. Okay, go ahead.
So then he kept putting his hands in his pockets, and I said, "Sir, you need to keep your hands out of your pockets." I said, "I need your ID though. Where's your ID at?" Well, then can I stand up and show you?
Sure, absolutely.
He put his hands back in his pockets, and he kind of done a little lunge towards me. That's when I grabbed my taser, pulled it out, and I just turned it on. I didn't deploy it or anything. I just turned it on and put the red dot on him. I said, "Sir, you need to step back, keep your hands out of your pockets. Let me see your ID." Mm-hmm. So then he took his hands out for a bit. He kind of stepped back. They put it in his pocket, and he kind of lunged at me again. I said, "Sir, you need to take a step back, keep your hands out of your pockets." And then he put his hands back down in his pockets. He's kind of spinning around there. And then he's like, I think he said something like, "Fuck this." And he goes walking over towards his car, so then I went ahead and holstered my taser back into my holster. Followed him over to his car. He slings his door open. He goes to get in. I grab the door, and I go to grab him. He pushes me back, and then shuts his door. So then I grab my baton. I tried to break the window to get to him, and it didn't break. And then he drops it down and drive. Starts to take off. That's when I holler at Douglas, "I'm going to need assistance on this." Well, as I'm getting ready to turn around, I see him stop. He's probably a good, I'd say between 10 to 15 feet away from me. And then I turn around, or I see him stop, and then all at once he throws it in reverse and he starts coming back towards me. And so then I kind of take a step back like this, and then he slams on his brakes real hard. He was probably 4 to 5 feet, but I felt threatened, like he was attempting to try to back over me, and then he stops, drops it back down and drives, and then takes off. So I continue back to my squad, get in the squad car, and then I started the pursuit.
Okay. What happened next?
I advised Douglas I was in a 1080 and that I was going to be going to iReach. Mm-hmm. And then I heard Douglas County deputy was on en route. He was just south of Belle Grove coming to assist me. Mm-hmm. And then chase was on. I kept advising Metcad through iReach where we were at and our speed. Mm-hmm. Location, speed, I don't think we ever went past 80. Mm-hmm. He would swerve off and on the way. Sometimes he would slow down like he was going to stop, and then he would speed right back up again. Chased him all the way to when we went up 130 there, and we got to where the new Walmart is and mm-hmm. the post office there. Excuse me. Then he turned left onto, I don't know the name of the road, but where you could get access to the post office, and there's some other businesses on the west side of 130 there. Played a little, what I call cat and mouse with him. He was going through the different parking lots and stuff. Chased him around the back one of the buildings, went through a mud field. I got hung up, and another Champaign County car did, but some others continued the pursuit, got through it. And then I got back in on the pursuit.